12 years ago, I was a newlywed with a desire. I wanted to be the best wife I could be and was praying for the day I'd become a mother. But the truth is, I had no idea how to cook, clean properly, or even manage a budget. 7 years ago, God gave me peace to step away from full-time work and allowed me to work from home with fewer hours. And 2 years later, He blessed me with a beautiful son who I love with all my heart. But what followed was not what I expected. I found myself drowning in the pressure to be the perfect wife, the perfect mom, and the perfect homemaker. I became overwhelmed, exhausted, and honestly, I started to lose the joy in all of it. If you've ever felt this way too, this video is for you. If you're new here, my name is Julie, and I help Christian wives who feel worn out in their homemaking, motherhood, or even marriages to release resentment and rebuild emotional and spiritual strength so they can become joyful, free, and whole again, even if their circumstances don't change. If this resonated with you, I would love if you can press that like and subscribe button to join this community. Each morning, I would wake up thinking, what is for dinner tonight? Not because I liked cooking, but because it had become a chore, which I dreaded. I hated cooking. And on top of that, I had to cook every night. It had become a burden and something I stressed over. And having a young child, as we all know, they just don't eat everything, which made it even more stressful. The homemaking duties became more, and even the dishes after each meal became overwhelming. I remember standing in the kitchen looking at the food cooking and all the dishes that was waiting for me and thinking, is this what joy is? Just being in surviving routine every day. I hit a point where I was just tired, not just physically, but deep in my soul. That's when I realized something had to change. Here's what I learned since then. Homemaking burnout doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in slowly. It starts when we push ourselves to meet impossible standards and leave no space for rest. We try to serve everyone around us and forget to care for ourselves. We carry mental loads no one sees. Planning meals, remembering appointments, and probably the biggest and most draining one of all, trying to manage the moods of the entire household. And somewhere along the way, we get exhausted. We stop seeing the joy in homemaking and we stop enjoying the little moments. But homemaking isn't supposed to feel like a burden. It was meant to be beautiful, sacred, and full of purpose. Now, if you're in a season where you feel emotionally drained, spiritually empty, or physically worn out, I want to share some things that help me begin to enjoy my home again. These aren't huge, dramatic changes. They're small shifts, because the small shifts are what is possible for us as homemakers. These have made a big difference in my energy, my peace, and my ability to pour into my family with love again. The first one is remember you. Reignite the women inside the homemaker. When was the last time you did something just because you loved it? Not because it was practical or helpful or productive, but simply because it brought you joy. So many wives and mothers slowly forget who they used to be. Life becomes a cycle of serving everyone else, cooking, cleaning, caretaking, until one day you look up and wonder, where did I go? You are still there. The woman who used to light up on certain songs, certain books, certain hobbies, she hasn't disappeared. She's just buried under exhaustion and routine, and it's time to gently uncover her again. In my free webinar, I help Christian wives who feel worn out in their homemaking, motherhood, or even marriages to release resentment and rebuild emotional and spiritual strength so they can become joyful, free, and whole again, even if their circumstances don't change. If you're feeling worn out, I would love to invite you to watch my free webinar that you can find linked in the description down below. But for now, think about what you used to enjoy before life got so busy. Did you love journaling or painting? Was it reading, singing, sewing, gardening, or dancing in the kitchen? Or maybe life has changed so much that your older hobbies no longer fit. That's okay. You can find new passions that suit your current season. Look for small, soul nourishing activities that can be done in short bursts and from the comfort of your home. You don't need a whole weekend retreat to feel alive again. You need a few moments of you sprinkled in your week constantly and intentionally. Because the truth is, you can't pour out if you are bone dry inside. You can't serve joyfully if you never receive joy yourself. Refilling your spirit isn't selfish, it's sacred. It allows you to love your family from a place of abundance instead of depletion. So here's your permission. Reconnect with the woman God created you to be. You are more than a homemaker. You are a whole person with desires, gifts, and spirit that longs to be nourished. Don't silence her anymore. The next one, create joyful rituals. Don't wait for life to feel fun again. When you're constantly serving your family, cleaning up messes, and juggling responsibility, it's easy to slip into survival mode, where every day feels like the to-do list and never quite finish. But joy doesn't always show up on its own. Sometimes we have to be intentional about inviting it in. Don't wait for the fun to happen. Create it. Joyful moments don't need to be big or expensive. They just need to be intentional. You have the power to build tiny pockets of happiness right into the fabric of your weekly routine. Moments that feel like a breath of fresh air, both for you and your family. Realizing that I have the ability to create these moments in my home have broken down so much of my overwhelm. Enjoying these moments have replaced a lot of my stress with laughter. Start with simple, relatable rituals that brings lightness and laughter back into your home. Maybe it's a build your own pizza night every second Friday, where everyone picks their own toppings and you eat dinner picnic style in the living room. Or maybe it's a Wednesday night board game. No screens, just connection. Story night on Thursdays, where you each take turns making up silly tales and your kids get to see the playful side of you. These aren't just activities, they're sacred rhythms. They break up the heaviness of daily life. They give you something to look forward to in the middle of the week. And they remind you that your home is not just a workplace, it's a place to enjoy your family. You're allowed to laugh. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to put the dishes off until the morning so you can be present for the giggles and the cuddles tonight. This is about more than fun. It's about healing. When you're exhausted, laughter is medicine. Play is worship. And joy, it doesn't always come from having less to do, but from how we choose to show up in the midst of it all. So go ahead and schedule that joy. Build it into your week like it's important, because it is. You're not just managing a household, you're nurturing a family. And joy is part of the atmosphere you get to create and get to enjoy. The next one is create a family gratitude night. In the busyness of daily life, it's easy to drift into survival mode. We move around each other like ships passing in the night, silently doing what needs to be done, but rarely pausing to see one another or to say thank you. So here's a simple but beautiful practice. Choose one night a week to say thank you. Make it your family's gratitude night. Just gather around the dinner table or cuddle up on the couch. Then go around and have each family member say one thing they're grateful for about another person in the room. It might be something small. Thank you for helping me find my shoes this morning. Thank you for cooking dinner even though you were tired. I appreciate when you played with me outside today. At first, it might feel awkward or even silly, but keep going, because what you're really doing is planting seeds of connection, recognition, and emotional safety in your home. As a wife and homemaker, this moment of thanks can be incredibly healing for your heart. When you hear your children or your husband say, "Mom, I saw what you did and I appreciate it," it softens the fatigue and reminds you that your efforts matter. They do see you, even if they don't always say it. And you might be surprised how much your kids light up when they hear you say it. I noticed how you were patient with your sister today. Thank you. Even the child who acts like they're too cool to care will carry that moment in their heart. This practice also models something powerful: a home where kindness is spoken, not assumed, where appreciation is a rhythm, not a once in a year holiday tradition. So don't wait for the perfect night. Start this week. It's a small habit that can transform the emotional tone of your home. And it's how you make sure love isn't just felt, but spoken. And that's where the joy begins to return. The next one is choose true rest, not just a scroll break. Let's be honest, when we're mentally and emotionally drained, the easiest thing to do is grab your phone and start scrolling. It feels like a break. It looks like rest, but at the end of it, you don't feel refreshed. Why? Because scrolling isn't rest, it's distraction. It's noise. It gives your mind something to focus on, but it doesn't pour anything back into your soul. And if you're a homemaker who's constantly giving, you don't need more distraction. You need real rest. Rest that actually replenishes. Rest that reconnects you to life. Rest that fills your cup instead of draining it even further. What if you use that 20 minutes of phone time to do something life-giving instead? Read a few pages of a book that inspires you. Step outside and plant something. Watch life grow with your own hands. Pick up a hobby you can do in short bursts. Knitting, journaling, painting, baking. Light a candle, make a cup of tea, and just be still with God, even if it's just for 10 minutes. These things don't just occupy time, they heal. They quiet your soul. They remind you that rest isn't something you scroll into, it's something you create with intention. Your soul deserves stillness, beauty, and life. And it's often found in the quiet, simple things we've been too busy to enjoy. The next one is the ultimate rest: time with God. We've talked about choosing a real rest, doing something nourishing and life-giving instead of numbing your mind with a screen. But if you truly want to rest your soul, the kind that goes deeper than your body or emotions, there's only one place to find it, and that's in God. You can tidy your home, you can light candles and journal, you can sip tea on the porch, but nothing will quiet the noise in your spirit like simply being in the presence of your Creator. And yes, at first it might not feel that way. Maybe prayer feels dry. Maybe you're too tired to even know what to say. Maybe opening your Bible feels like just another task. But let me encourage you to keep going. Keep showing up, even in silence, even in exhaustion. Because here's the truth. Come to me, all you are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. In Matthew 11, verse 28. That's not a motivational quote. It's a promise. God doesn't want you to clean yourself up before coming to Him. He wants you exactly as you are. Tired, messy, and overwhelmed. And in exchange, He offers peace, a peace that surpasses understanding, a calm that no nap, no hobby, no spa day can replicate. Even 10 minutes in the car with worship music can shift your spirit from frantic to focus. Even journaling your fears and surrendering them to God can bring breakthrough. Spending time with God doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be intentional. The closer you draw to God, the more you'll find that exhaustion loses its grip. Not because your responsibilities disappear, but because your soul is anchored. You were never meant to carry all of this alone. Let God carry you. That's where real rest begins. The next one is plan ahead. Give tomorrow a head start. Life as a homemaker can feel like a never-ending to-do list. There's always something that needs your attention, little hearts to nurture, and maybe even work on top of it all. And when we go into our days unprepared, they tend to run us over. You won't always know what tomorrow holds. A child might get sick. The oven might break, emotions might rise, but when you start your day with a plan, even just a loose framework, you give yourself a foundation to stand on when the chaos hits. Good planning is not about squeezing in more tasks, it's about creating space. Take time at the beginning of each week or each day to map out what you'd like to get done. Be honest, be realistic, write it in pencil and not in pen, because life changes and so should your schedule. Start asking yourself, what are the non-negotiables for today? What would bring me and my family joy this week? How can I carve out time for connection, not just chores? Schedule time with your kids, not just to teach or correct, but to laugh. Set aside an hour to sit with your husband. Write your hobbies into the plan like they matter, because they do. They're part of what makes you you. And if a certain schedule isn't working anymore, change it. Remember, it's in pencil. Don't see it as a failure, see it as wisdom. A woman who adjusts is a woman who is growing. Remember, time isn't something you fight against. It's a gift you steward. With just a little thought and intention, you can create days that feel less frantic and more fulfilling. The next one is make peace with your home. Create a space you want to be in. Your environment matters more than you may realize. If your home doesn't feel like a place of comfort, rest, or beauty, even in small ways, it can affect your mood, your energy, and your ability to enjoy homemaking. And let me be honest, it's hard to feel joyful when your surroundings are constantly draining you. If you don't like being in your home, if you're constantly surrounded by clutter or chaos, you're not going to feel at peace there. You'll feel anxious, overwhelmed, and maybe even resentful. That's why one of the kindest things you can do for yourself and your family is to make your home a space where you actually want to be. I'm not talking about having a Pinterest perfect house. I'm talking about intention. Declutter the spaces that stresses you out. Start with one drawer or one corner of a room. Light a candle in the evening. Put on music that soothes your soul. Add a fresh plant, a cozy throw, or something beautiful that brings you joy. Even something as simple as keeping your countertops clean or making your bed each morning can instantly shift the energy in your home. Clutter creates noise, even when it's silent. It pulls at your attention and makes you feel like there's always something unfinished. But a tidy, cared for space, even if it's small, can give your mind permission to breathe. So today, I encourage you, don't ignore your space. Don't feel guilty for wanting to make it feel beautiful. God made you with the desire to create, nurture, and beautify. Start small. Make one area sacred space. Let your home reflect the joy and grace you're cultivating in your heart. Because when your home feels like a sanctuary, homemaking no longer feels like a burden, it begins to feel like worship. If you're feeling exhausted and burned out by homemaking, I want you to know you're not alone, but you also don't have to stay stuck in survival mode. Again, I would love to invite you to my free webinar where I help Christian wives who feel worn out in their homemaking, motherhood, or even marriages to release resentment and rebuild emotional and spiritual strength so they can become joyful, free, and whole again, even if their circumstances don't change. I put the link in the description down below for you to have access to. Thank you so much for watching the video. If it resonated with you, if you enjoyed it, please press that like and subscribe button if you haven't, and share it with another wife who you think might need this encouragement today. I hope you have a blessed day and a blessed week.